Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So today, I guess we'll continue on our series of talk for the Rains Retreat, which is the second cardinal sutta, second teaching of the Buddha, is on the Anatta Lakkhana Sutta, which is the discourse on non-self. And in it, the background is that after the first teaching to the 5 ascetics, I think Kondanya became a stream enterer, and then you have this flash and this lots of things happening, beautiful flash and the music and the devas are chanting up and down, all the different realms. And then I think they took turn going an alms round. The Buddha would teach 3 of them, 2 of them go on alms round, share the food, and then the next day he would teach the next 3, and the 2 of them went on the alms round, sharing food. And it didn't say when he gave the second teaching, but soon after that, when he gave the second teaching, then you have the first 5 arhat, who the 5 ascetics, all became enlightened based on the suttas. Okay, so we've been chanting all week long. Anybody become enlightened? No. Nobody? It's an interesting teaching because after he focused on the suffering, the stress, this part of life, and then the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, then he focused on the not self. And in it, as most of you know, he divided the body and mind complex into 5 things. Mostly mind, actually. First is the body, the rupa, body. Second is vedana, feeling tones, as we translate. Third is perception, sanya. Fourth is sankhara, which is mental proliferation, mental formation. And fifth is consciousness. Dividing the human conditions, the mind and body, into 5 groups. And he systematically goes through that, to how we, what we take to be a self is not there. And first, the most important one, I think, is the body, or form anyway. Yeah, first he goes to it. The body is ours. We could tell it what to do. May my body be healthy all the time. May my body never age. Can we do that? No, we can't do that. And then he goes to, if it's of a nature to change, or it's undependable, is suffering, or is it happiness? And of course, it's suffering. So if it's suffering, if it's undependable suffering, and of a nature to change, then can we say that to be ours? Can it to be a self? Of course, we can't. But sometimes I'm thinking, well, yeah, okay, I can't control this body, and it gets old, and it's not dependable, but it's still sort of mine, because it's not your body, it's something sitting here and something sitting over there. So in that aspect, yeah, sure, in a temporal sense, we all have our own conditioning, we all have our own form, but ultimately, it's not ours in the sense that it comes together based on causes and condition. The way I look is obviously comes from my parents. We know what their DNA looks like. And then if I had one parent as somebody else, then it wouldn't be this form sitting here. And your form is obviously based on the conditions of who your parents are, what you eat, the four elements that come together, it holds together, and then it starts to disintegrate. So in that sense, it's not ours individually. It comes together based on causes and condition, stays, and disintegrates based on causes and condition, not based on our own like or disliking, not based on our own agenda. And the more we try to see that, the more we remind ourselves with this basic truth, then the less likely we are to suffer. It is through not understanding, it is through attaching that we suffer because we think the body is ours. And of course, when it gets sick, when it starts to age, then we suffer, we get very anxious, and we get worried about it. Sometimes we say, no, I'm a Buddhist. I've been reading this thing, I've been chanting this Anatta Lakkhana Sutta for years. I know this body isn't mine. Sure, we understand it to some intellectual level, but if you get worried when you get sick, get frustrated when you get sick, when there's a pain in the body and you don't like it, then obviously there's not clear understanding somewhere, because you still take this thing to be something that you can control, something that's dependable. Like obviously the current situation we're in, where the whole world is suffering from a pandemic, this strange disease that comes upon us, and it's been, and you get a lot of anxieties. People comes up. What should we do? How should we limit the monastery? Should we go into lockdown, let people visit? What happens? All these other symptoms that comes out of this pandemic, a reaction to it, and anxieties and worries is pointing to the fact that we are, attached to the body. We want it to be healthy. We don't want to get sick. We don't want to die. Because being sick prevents us from doing what we want to do. We get very worried how we can infect each other in this modern age. With the flying around, people different touching. And there's a lot of talk about finding a cure. And they might, obviously within a year, 6 months, they might find a cure for COVID-19. But unfortunately, they will never find a cure for old age, sickness, and death. That we are doomed. The minute you're born, you're doomed to die. And there will be no cure for that. But we learn to accept it. We learn to understand that that's just a natural process. Having been born, we have to die. There's no other way. And it's silly to think that that we don't die, or something wrong with dying. Dying is just naturally, it's perfectly natural. It's a living that should be a miracle, because all the things have to come together to keep the body going. That should be a strange thing. But the dying, any old thing can not work. Your heart can stop beating, the blood gets, any kind of blood disease, digestive disease, muscle disease, and the body stops working and it dies. So the death is actually quite natural. It's the living that we should be surprised at. Every time you wake up every morning, instead of saying, oh yeah, we should be, wow, I'm awake. I'm still living. Wow, this is surprising. Instead of being disappointed when we get sick, getting old, feeling unenergetic, feeling tired, it's normal. It's part of having a body. And the more we accept that, the less we suffer we start to age. But instead of worrying about how we might get affected by COVID-19, coronavirus, I realize that we can find a Buddhist antidote to coronavirus, and it's called Karuna virus. Then instead of affecting each other with germs, we're going to affect all the people that come into the monastery with a bit of kindness, with a bit of wisdom, with a bit of patience, with a bit of clarity. And each person that you infect, each person that you touch, they go home and they spread that wholesome state, that care and compassion and clarity, encouragement, I would say, to cultivate wholesome states. That starts to spread outward. So we've been infected by the Buddha, infected all that his disease, and hopefully this infection will lead it all the way to Nibbana. We have the seed of Nibbana in us already. Because through the condition of the Buddha, through the condition of all his arahants, and our job is just to continue walking that path. So instead of getting worried about how we get other different people infecting us, our job is to be actively infecting everybody around us with a bit of Dhamma, with a bit of a Karuna virus that helps people with clarity, helps people with a bit of peace, helps people with a bit of wholesome state. And it's true, as each and every one of us are a vessel for the Dhamma. We can't save the world right away, but we can bring a little light to the moment. In our mind, bring a little light to the people around us, each moment. There's something we can do, something in our power. And these moments add up. So sometimes the practice can seem really long if you're thinking, I've got all these defilements, attachments, and I'm angry, I'm not so energetic at times, and I'm not so mindful, and I'm never going to be enlightened. But another way to look at it is that we can focus in the present moment. In this moment, we can focus, we can be a bit more clear, we can be a bit more kind, we can be more careful by caring for ourselves and the people around us. That we can do. We can't continue, maybe we can sustain it all the time, but certainly we can do it, come back to it from time to time, moment to moment. And the reason we can do that is not through willpower, it's through the conditioning of the Buddha, conditioning of all the arahants, the conditioning of the teachings that we come across that is in us already. All we have to do is have the faith and the trust that they're working. No matter what problems we're facing, just come back to the blessings of the Buddha. Come back to the power of the Dhamma, that we have it, we've been exposed to it. It's inside us already. And it takes time to work, but it's in there. And it's something that each and every one of us is capable of. So all we have to do is, like I said over and over again, slow down, be still, have faith and confidence that we have what it takes to realize the teaching of the Buddha in the here and now, in this day and age. And it's something that it's not self in that sense. It's beyond our willpower. It's beyond our wantings. It's beyond our agenda. It happens naturally. We've been infected by the Dhamma. It only goes one way. It goes towards Nibbana. As long as we don't fall off the wagon. As long as we don't give up the training. And as the rains retreat, progresses, instead of rousing your willpower to do things, to train the mind, just learn to relax, to lean back, and allow the Dhamma to work its magic. Have faith and trust in your own goodness, in the power of the conditioning of the Buddha, the conditioning of all the arhats that go ahead of us, to the wholesomeness of the whole group energy, and allow that to guide us in our practice. And we see, yes, of course, there are good days, there are bad days. We make mistakes. The mind's unclear at times, irritated, angry, greedy. But at the end of the day, we're still training. We're in this community where everybody's encouraged to train the mind towards peace and clarity, to train the mind towards all these wholesome states. Different ways you can look at it. It could be, the baramis, the spiritual perfections of kindness, of resolution, of determination, of patience, of clarity, of wisdom, of equanimity. So we have all this conditioning to coming together already. Our job is just to allow those things to work its magic slowly, but with faith and confidence. So what else should I say about that? Anatta Lakkhana Sutta. It is funny that at the end of the sutta, there's no flash, no light, just become enlightened. But it's kind of beautiful. It's not a big deal, right? Instead of going to the flash, you go into extinction. So it's powerful in that sense. So it's just boom, quiet, emptiness, clarity. And the beautiful thing is, when you know, with knowledge, you know that you're enlightened. You know that birth is done with. There's no clinging no more. And it's just, I found this, it's also a very beautiful sutta in terms of, we have the 5 enlightened beings after the Buddha. And it's just a very clear, short, 16 suttas. But also, obviously to lay the background, those 5 ascetics has been obviously guided by the Buddha and been practicing meditation and sila and samadhi for many, many years, many, many lifetimes. So it's not the fact that something we think, well, why is it so difficult to become enlightened these days? And we learn and we practice meditation and we put our hours in and we listen to so many teachers and Dhamma talks, and we're still nowhere near close. And those 5 guys just, listen for one short sutta and they become enlightened. Yeah. So like Ajahn Pasno said, this Buddha may not be the same as that Buddha at the moment. But it doesn't matter, because we've been conditioned, we've been infected by the Dhamma, and it's going to work its magic slowly. As long as we stay the path, as long as we are committed to the training, we'll all be heading the same way. So I'd like to leave you that for your reflection this evening. You've been infected with Karuna virus. Maybe for your blessings and the blessings of all those who come into contact with you. Andamayang Dhammakatha Sadhu Karang Tatha